Okay, shalom ubracha, everybody. People online, people here, Baruch Hashem. We have a lot to try to cover. We'll do our best to cover it as fast as possible and as clear as possible. Two things. First, now after Shavuot, and number two, of course, we have to continue where we left off in the Likutey Moharan lesson 24, paragraph 6, the house of Tzadok, the Beit Ne'eman of Tzadok. Before that, let us use what Rav Nosson explains in the davening as applicable to now, the period right after Shavuot. Okay? Rav Nosson says in Likutey Alachot Nefilat Apayim Halacha Dalet that the order of the davening, the morning prayer service, is very interesting. It's all upbeat. You know, there's what's called the Korbanot, going to the second section called Psukei de Zimra, going into the brachot of Kriyat Shema and the Kriyat Shema, and then the Shpitz, the pinnacle, the top of the mountain, is the Amida. And then right after, instead of going down, like when you go up a mountain, you go up, you hit the top of the mountain, and then you go down. But in a normal day, a regular weekday, Chol, there's what's called Tachanun. Tachanun, which happens right after Amida, which involves Nefilat Apayim, is not like the continuation of after reaching the slope of the mountain, you go down. It goes rock bottom, down to the depths of the klipot. Okay, it's a pretty dangerous time. That's what's Nefilat Apayim. You're lowering your head as if to show that the panim, the supernal face that you gained during the Shmoneh Esrei prayer, you're lowering it down to the depths. Sfardim, it's funny. We went into this a long time ago. Well, so I'll say it again. There's a chapter which is called chapter 25. Now, it's very dangerous to say this chapter and to do together what's called Nefilat Apayim. So you have different customs. By the Hasidim and by the Ashkenazim, there's only the Nefilat Apayim, and they don't say chapter 25. By the Sfardim, they say chapter 25, but they don't do Nefilat Apayim. Chabad, they do both. They do. I heard, but I think I'm correct. They do the Nefilat Apayim and they say chapter 25. And the Ben Ish Chai warns you have to be very careful when you say that chapter, because if you think bad about somebody, you can cause them damage, God forbid. What?
The Beit Yosef said,
No.
Yeah. He brings down the Zohar that if you don't have a mind, when you're doing it, you're putting a death sentence on yourself.
If you say the Kapitel 25 and do Nefet Amayim. Without Kavanah. Okay. So the Sfardim, they do it. The Sfardim say it, but they don't do that. And they're because what's happening at the time is you're going down to the depths. So Rav Nosson asks, what's going on? What is this? You know, you were just at the height, Shmoneh Esrei, you reach the top of the davening, top of the spiritual elevation, and then you go rock bottom, like to the bottom of the mountain, underneath, down to the depths. What's going on? So he says like this, that by doing mitzvot b'simcha, which is why we start with the Ktoret, the Korbanot and the Ktoret, to bring simcha. So the simcha gets you up and up and up and up. Once you reach the height, you reach what's called the Keter, the infinite light. You reach the Ein Sof, the highest level of your davening. So now you are capable and ready to go back to the depths to elevate more sparks that are trapped there. The reason why you started off in the first place in the down is because there's sparks to elevate. That's why you start off at zero, minus zero, sub-zero. So now that you've advanced in life and you reached a point, now you're ready to face what's called simcha yetera. You've gained extra simcha by connecting at such a high level. You gain extra simcha. You needed simcha to get to where you are now. You need to fight the darkness, the setbacks, the sadness, the despair, the feeling, futile and all that to get to where you are, which is the Keter. Once you get to the Keter, and the Keter of Nosson explains is where the source of the Simcha is, and where you access real Simcha. So now that you have what's called a double whammy of Simcha, Simcha Yetera, you're able now to go back down to the depths to elevate more. So it's funny, it's like for a moment, you go down back in, but then we put you back out where you left off at the top of the mountain, and that's Ashrei after the Amida, Uva Letzion, and then the Shir Shel Yom, and then again Korbanot, and you end off of Aleinu Neshabeach, and then you can go to work. In other words, you reach back to the bottom of the mountain, you can go now to your daily running around, because you have already inside of you internalized the light of the Keter. Okay? So Nosson says this about the davening. And he says the same thing applies to Shavuot, Pesach to Shavuot. Shavuot is when you reach the 50th level, you reach the Keter, you reach the infinite light. Okay, now what? Life goes on. It's not like okay, and he lived happily ever after, and that's it. After Shavuot, life continues. You don't just stay in Shavuot. Oh, I'm flying down the 50th level. You get back down, and you have to get back to work. So right after Shavuot, it's normal that a person. I mean, you can blame the cheesecake, that you're flying because the cheesecake is. Everyone admits the cheesecake really threw them off on Shavuot. The super duper fatty or whatever schmaltzige cheesecake of Shavuot makes you really down. But on a spiritual level, also what's happening is now that you've reached the 50th level, now it's like Nefilat Apayim in a sense. We don't say Tachanun now until the 12th of Sivan. There's no Tachanun, but still, you're not yourself yet. You're still not okay. Shavuot, let's start fresh. You can't. It's summertime. It's now vacation time by some people. The mind is fried. It's very hot and everything. And now it's funny. What happened is now you reached something. You tapped into Shavuot, such a simcha, such that it's the crown of Shavuot. The crowns are called simcha, like it says, the simchat olam al rosham. The joy of the world is on their heads. That pasuk is used by the Gemara when it says about the two crowns that the Jews got. The two crowns. Where the Jews said, Naaseh v'nishma, the 1,200,000 angels came and each one put a crown on every head. So there were 600,000 Jews, 1,200,000 angels. So each Jew got two crowns, Naaseh v'nishma. And after the sin of the golden calf, Yud Zayin B'Tammuz, they lost the crowns. And the Gemara goes on to say, this is the Gemara's version, Daf Pechet, page 88 in Masechet Shabbat, that ba'atid HaKadosh Baruch Hu lachzir et haktarim halalu. Hashem in the future is going to bring back these crowns, like the pasuk says, "V'simchat olam al rosham." The joy that was always there will be on their heads. It's a pasuk on a prophecy of the future that the simcha will be on their heads. So it's calling the crowns simcha. The pasuk simchat olam al rosham. So Rav Nosson points out that this is the source of joy are these crowns, the crown of Shavuot that say is connected to the crowns of Naaseh v'nishma. Basically, it is receiving the Torah is like a crown, and the Jews, when they said Naaseh v'nishma, they got the crowns. That's why the Shavuot on a pshat level is called a crown. Okay, so we get a crown, and the crown is the source of simcha. I worked with simcha to get to here. So what do I gain? What's called simcha yetera, extra simcha. What for? Now I can face again the klipot. I can face the daily grind. I can face more challenges. But the thing is, I have the keter in my pocket now. The keter of this year's Shavuot is in my pocket now. I've internalized this. It's not external and beyond me. It's internalized now. Meaning what now? That now I have more means to deal with challenges and overcome them. How? Extra simcha. What is extra simcha? When I'm faced with the crazy things, I can now much more easily fall on default onto simcha b'ezrat Hashem. So this is the period now. Okay? It'll lead into the 3 weeks, where the 3 weeks is another big thing of getting the ktarim and the keter and simcha. The Shabbat Chazon, as they say, is the highest of the Shabbatot of the whole year. You can gain on Shabbat Chazon, which you can't gain on any other time. So what we're doing now is a preparation for the 3 weeks, and the 3 weeks will be a preparation for Rosh Hashanah. What comes out is the whole year has meaning. The whole set of the chagim and the times, everything's interrelated, and everything has meaning, and everything is a pattern of an up and then a down. That's how it is. And every time you go up, you go higher. And every time you go down, you go lower. And there's always new things to discover. You're discovering, life is very exciting. You're discovering and tapping into much new things. So this is where we're holding now after Shavuot, after the cheesecake. Now we're going into the depths. Because we tapped into Simcha Yetera, now we have the right and the ability, B'ezrat Hashem, to seek out more holy sparks, which Rav Nosson calls in one place, in Birkat HaPerot, Halacha Hey, Likutey Halachot, he calls them your lost items, your avedot, your lost items, which is what's causing you a lack in being who you really are. You have a lack of character, a lack of confidence. You have lackings and chesronot, things which are not fully there, and you're so working to get out of them. You're so bothered by them. These are what you're looking for. When we say holy sparks that you have to collect, You're basically going back to collect parts of you that are missing, which makes who you are incomplete. You feel incomplete. Yes, it's true. You are incomplete because there's sparks which are trapped wherever they are, belonging to you that have to be elevated. So what does Hashem do? He sends you back to collect these sparks. Who benefits in the end? You do. Am Yisrael benefits. The Shekhinah, everyone. It's a tag team. It's a whole business, a conglomerate. We're all together into this. So whenever you have to go deep inside, it's to help yourself and to help Am Yisrael. And you have the Shekhinah also, B'ezrat Hashem. So this is where we're holding now. Okay? This is the period. So not to be broken that after Shavuot, you had such a high and then you have a down. That's how it is. That's how it's supposed to be. And this is the challenge process where you're out to get more. And you have capacity because you have Simcha Yetera. You did Shavuot. So you have every right to be happy. And you have the means and ability to face any challenge. When you have Simcha, there's nothing that can stand in your way. Nothing. Just we have to really connect to the Simcha B'ezrat Hashem. You have to believe in it. Okay, so we're now continuing with where we left off in paragraph 6, Likutey Moharan, lesson 24, paragraph number 6. Okay, so again, like we always do, we'll just read quickly from the beginning of the paragraph to get to where we're holding. So we just get again the picture, and then we'll go into Rabbeinu's pasuk. And a reminder: when Rabbi Nachman brings anything, so not just the pshat, the simple reason why he's bringing it, is he bringing it for, but the whole concept connects to it. That's the amazing beauty of Likutey Moharan. When he brings a verse or a Zohar or a Gemara, the whole entity of the subject is in there, so you have the ability to connect and discover more insights and gain more out of it, B'ezrat Hashem. So let's see what Rabbeinu is going to do today for us. What Rabbi Nachman's going to open up, okay? So paragraph 6 starts like this. If you remember, "V'tzarich lamshich emunah letoch birkat hasechel." Okay, and you have to draw emunah into the bracha. The main blessing in life is called the blessing of intellect. And the thing is to remember that as much as you are a pursuer of intellect, you are an intellectual human being, an intellectual Jew, where you learn Torah as an intellect to understand Hashem better, to come closer, to do what you have to do, which makes sense. Still, you have to make sure you draw emunah inside of it. You have to draw into this. We're going to see, we're using this word now for the first time. This house of intellect, Birkat HaSechel, bet, the Sefer Yetzirah says like this. Just like there's no keter of the letter kaf, like we maybe mentioned this before. Kaf has in it the secret of the keter. Bet has in it the secret of bracha. Ein bet belo bracha. Okay, in other words, because the word bracha begins with a bet, so its characteristics are hinted to in the letter bet already, where it's like a house. Bracha is like a container, even though normally a container is like this, but the bet is like this, and you put inside of it. Okay, and bet is like a bite. The word bayit and bet have the same letters. Bet, yutav, and bayit, house, okay? So now a bracha is like a container. So you have the bracha is sechel, that's like the container, and you have to make sure you put into it emunah. And why we mentioned bayit is coming up. We're going to mention in Tzadok's, the pasuk coming up, he mentions bayit. We'll go into that. So going back, because there's a rule in life. And as a Jew, especially as a Yid, that you don't base your connection to God solely or only on intellect. That's dangerous. Dangerous. You have to make sure that every stage in your brain development of the Torah, you're learning more Gemara, Chumash, Rashi, Tanakh, Halachot, Midrash, Zohar, Ein Yaakov, whatever you're learning, okay? So now your brain is advancing. You have to make sure always there's emunah inside of it. The emunah has to be priority, and even above it, it's only a cup. The intellect is a cup. When you have a cup and you have liquid inside, what's more important? The liquid inside. The cup is just a vessel to receive in it. What's more important? What's more important for me right now is I need a cup of water. Okay, cup of water. So I need water. The cup is to hold the water. What's more important here? What's inside? So you have, as I say, damshich emunah letoch, into the birkat hasechel. Because the sechel is a cup, and emunah has to be filling it inside of it, meaning that you have to be overflowing with emunah in your sechel. The more intellect you have, the more emunah you should be putting in. That's how it is. And not to get caught in the trap of just intellect. I just have daf yomi. That's all I care about. Just daf yomi, daf yomi, daf yomi. How about your emunah? How about your idbodedut? How about your davening? The main thing is my daf yomi. You missed the point, then, Mister. You missed the point. Okay. Emunah, intellect. The main thing is the emunah. Okay. Rabbi Nachman once said. He said in Sichot Haran that all a Jew has to do in this world is davening and learning and davening. In Yiddish, in Hebrew means, in English, to daven and learn and daven. And that's the process. Davening, learning. That always, when you have learning, put right next to it emunah, tefillah, davening. And then after that, more sechel, learning, and then davening and learning. That's how a Jew should be. It's not just pure sechel, intellect, but there's always emunah mixed in, so that always you remember to fill it up with emunah. Okay? Because you should not rely on the intellect alone as is known, right? As is known. And then we went through these three psukim, where in each a different way, Rabbi Nachman shows connections to emunah, to the idea of blessings and the hands. First proof, a man of faith, abundant in blessings. So blessings of emunah, that you have to be ish emunah, even when there's abundant blessings, the blessing of the sechel. Don't forget to put emunah. Second pasuk, by the hands of Moshe Rabbeinu fighting Amalek, Vahi Yadav emunah. Moshe's hands and the hands of Moshe are the hands of the sechel, the hands of Yaakov. We went into this, remember. And the hands also, there's emunah. There's a proof to connecting hands to emunah. And the third proof, which was the toughest one to try to get, which was by Shaul's Amelech's statement to King David at the end of the reign of King Shaul, before he was killed, when he recognized that King David is going to be king, because he cut off the corner of his beged, of his jacket with the tzitzit on. V'kama biadecha mamlechet Yisrael. I see that it will be established. This word we said kama. You remember we went into this kama as a holy name used to make a king. Hamlich melachim, to make kings. This name is used. This name, which is gematria 145. Okay. Knaf is also 146 with the kama of the kola. We went into that last class. Okay. So kama biadecha. Shaul said to King David, it will be standing, established in your hands. What? Mamlechet Yisrael, the kingdom of Israel. You don't see in here emunah. I see hands, but I don't see emunah. But Malchut coming up is going to show Rabbi Nachman, he goes into the Kabbalistic explanation, that the Malchut of Yetzirah is emunah. So that's the idea of Mamlechet Yisrael, that the Mamlechet of all Israel will be established in your hands. And we said many things. What is this coming to show us? One of the things is that King David, who composed with his hands the book of Tehillim, is the main way that Mamlechet Yisrael is established. Our main key for survival right now is through Tehillim. Tehillim is the bulk part of davening today, and the Jew has to daven every day. The whole world stands on our Shacharit, Mincha, and Arvit. That's why it's so important that Jewish people are davening, even though we're out of it. Even though I can't concentrate, stuff to daven, right? You have to daven. Why? Because the whole world is standing on these prayers. And the bulk of the prayers, Pesukei Zimra, that takes much more longer than the Amida and everything, the Shemona Esrei, is what? Is Psalms, Tehillim, Psukim from Tehillim. Okay? So Kama Be'adecha Mamlechet Yisrael, the kingship of Israel shall be standing and everlasting always until it's finally restored properly, is through King David and his hands. Kama Be'adecha, it's like a hint through the hands which composed the book of Tehillim, right? Yeah, this is just on the side. You have the 5 books of Tehillim and the 5 books of the Chumash. And they correspond to the 10 fingers. There's 2 hands here, right? Biyad Moshe, the hand of Hashem, is like the left hand giving the Torah, if you want to say. And the right hand of Tehillim, the 5 books of Tehillim is like, they work together. I mean, you can build on this chidush. It can be the opposite, left and right. But the point is, David HaMelech is the key for the Malchut, Mamlechet Yisrael, the kingship of Israel, which is to infuse emunah. Okay? So Rabbeinu himself explains the last part. V'kama be'adecha mamlechet Yisrael hainu. In other words, what this last proof is, or all 3 proofs, but especially the last proof, sheyamshich emunah letoch birkat hayadayim. V'kama be'adecha. Let's work on the last pasuk from Shmuel. Unmute. Okay, sorry about that. Can everybody hear me now? Okay. So this pasuk here, Bayit Ne'eman, it connects Emunah and Bayit. And the Chernoff says Mamlechet, which is a Bayit, is connected to this also here. So it's Bayit Ne'eman. Okay? So this is the Chernoff. His student, Rav Alter Tepliker, the Mehanachal, says, no, this is a proof. This is a new proof. What's the proof? Let's go into this. Let's go into history here. The time of HaCohen. HaCohen was the one who blessed Hannah to have the prophet Samuel, Shmuel. And she made a vow that if she has a boy, she will give him to the Beit HaMikdash, to the Mishkan. He will belong to Hashem. She gave birth to Samuel. And like she promised, when he became the age of 1 or the age of 3, she made from a nice beggar and she brought him to HaCohen that he should service in the, I think they were Levim, or Kohanim, one of the two, Levim or Kohanim, and he was able to be in the Mishkan, okay? After this happened, Elkanah and Hannah were blessed with 3 more sons and 2 more daughters. When they came every year, Elkanah would come to the Holy Temple, to the Mishkan, so the tabernacle in Mishkan, in Shiloh, and he would offer a sacrifice. Eli was very proud of them because he saw how prayer works, and he saw how he made fun of Hannah. He thought she was like a drunk woman just moving her lips. And from her we learned the Shmoneh Esrei, by the way, that you can daven with moving your lips without making a sound. He thought she was drunk, but she was really davening. And with the bizyonot that she went to, the sages say, the Gemara or the Zohar, that was part of the reason that she had a boy, because she had such insults from Eli, the Kohen Gadol, okay? What? How old was she? I don't know how old she was. At the time, Hannah was over 100. Wow. And yet, miracles happen. Prayer does miracles, okay? So now, what's the idea here? Is that the Torah, the Tanakh teaches afterwards that when they came once a year or whenever to bring the sacrifices, so Eli HaKohen once, he blessed them with more kids. And the pasuk says clearly, and they didn't go to her family. Hannah's family lived elsewhere, not from her hometown. Where she lived in Elkanah, that was where his family lived. He lived in the residence of his family. She lived far from her family. So instead of normally when they would go to Shiloh to offer the sacrifices, they would go afterwards to visit her family and then they would go back home. But they were so confident in the bracha of Eli HaKohen, the Kohen Gadol for children, that they went back home so that she can go immediately to the mikveh and they can have relations. And she was blessed with children from that bracha, okay? Then it says after that Eli's sons, Chofni and Pinchas, began to act not proper. What did they begin to do? Normally a Kohen is given, the Torah says which part of the sacrifices are given to the Kohanim as a gift from Hashem. And also, you're not allowed to take any parts to give to the Kohen until the fat or parts of the animal are put on the altar, on the Mizbeach. Only after parts of the Korbanot are put on the Mizbeach, then the Kohen can take what belongs to him, the Chazeh, the chest, and then the shok, right? And the parts of whatever belongs to the Kohen goes to him. But after Hashem, the Mizbeach receives its parts. Chofni and Pinchas began to act with major chutzpah. Okay, the pasuk says clearly that while, for example, they were cooking the meat, because the Kohen can only receive his meat after it was cooked. There were all types of pots and cooking instruments in the Mishkan, some in the Chatzer, some where the Yisrael was standing in the Azara, okay? But normally, after the animal, the piece was cooked, not raw, was the Kohen given his part. So there are times that the Chofni and Pinchas, and it wasn't just them, Chofni and Pinchas began to corrupt and make improper the young Kohanim lads, Na'arim, who were working in the temple with them, the Mishkan, and they also said, give us the meat, we can't wait anymore, we'll cook it, you don't have to cook it for us. The Kohen cooking the meat says, wait, you have to wait, the halacha is you have to wait. No, we can't wait, we'll take it first. And then after we'll cook it on our own, okay? That was a problem, you don't do that. Number 2, they came with giant forks, and once the animal was cooked, the sacrifice, whatever was cooked in the parts, they would stick this big fork and take an additional piece besides what they get, the chazeh, the chest of the animal and the arm. They also, with chutzpah, would start digging in and taking more for themselves, okay? Number two, you had a line of women who were impure from birth, and they have to bring certain sacrifices, kinim, birds, efrochim, okay? After waiting, if it's a boy, 33 days, if it's a girl, 66 days in Parshat Tazria. How many, the period of the woman who gave birth, she has to come to the temple, the Mishkan, to offer a certain sacrifice, and then she can be permissible to be with her husband, okay? So they would delay the offering of the kinim, the bird offerings, and the women were kept waiting and waiting and waiting. And the Torah says, the pasuk says that Chofni and Pinchas slept with the other men's women. So Rashi brings down two opinions. One says yes, they actually did that. They slept with other men's women, which is terrible. And the second opinion says by delaying the korbanot, they said they can wait. We have what to do. We're busy. We're too preoccupied. They made excuses. You're not supposed to do that. So the women were waiting and waiting, and they would be delayed. And they came all the way to Shiloh. You know, it's a whole. And back then, camels, donkeys from all over Israel to go to Shiloh. But the woman, if now she came early in the morning, and they still didn't offer a sacrifice, she would only leave at night. She couldn't leave at night. She had to sleep over, miss a night, be delayed with being around for her husband, maybe they missed the mikveh night, whatever. So the Torah says it's considered as if they slept with the other woman, okay? These are three blemishes. The Torah says, the Torah uses the word Belial. They were Bnei Belial. Belial means Bli, without a yoke. They acted with such chutzpah, and they acted like they were doing what they wanted. HaCohen, who was very old at the time, but he was a Talmid Chacham, and it says about old men who are Talmidei Chachamim, the older they get, the wiser they get. And Amaretz is the opposite. And Amaretz, the older he gets, the more stupid he gets, right? You don't find that many Talmidei Chachamim, unfortunately, in old folks' homes. Thrown out. Their head is still there, normally. Normal. You have, again, Zaken Shenishkach Talmudo, you have exceptions of an old man who forgot his Torah. But normally, Talmidei Chachamim, the older they get, the wiser they get. That's why there's more respect to them. Okay? So Eli knew what was happening. He wasn't like, they thought he's old, he doesn't know what's happening. He knew. And he rebuked his sons. But he was punished because he didn't rebuke them enough. He rebuked them, but he said, what you're doing is wrong. It's asur, it's forbidden. But they didn't listen to him. Why didn't they listen to him? Because what Eli should have done, and he was punished because he didn't, is the honor of Hashem's Mizbeach should have come first. A person, you do wrong to a person, so you ask mechila and everything, but you do wrong to Hashem. If you don't fix it up, who's going to daven for you? The Midrash says, who's going to daven? You do wrong to a friend, you have to ask forgiveness. You have what to do. But to Hashem, if you don't ask forgiveness, you keep on going as if nothing is wrong, you're finished. So Eli was punished because he should have done a full retort. He should have thrown everything aside. We're not continuing until you guys stop. He should have said that. But the honor of him, he was light. He was lighthearted. In other words, it was sensitive to his son's honor because he was old and he was dependent on them. And it says that Eli HaCohen, even though he's Kohen Gadol, he couldn't do the service anymore. So his sons, Chofni and Pinchas, were like the Sgan Kohen Gadol. They were doing the avodah of the Kohen Gadol instead of it because he was too old. He couldn't. The halacha says that the Kohen Gadol's hand's shaking, so he can't do. He's exempt from the Yom Kippur service, even though he's Kohen Gadol. But if his hand is shaking and he can't shech the animal properly and he can't do the Ketort properly, so forget it. He's still alive. He's Kohen Gadol, no problem. But he's not fit to do the avodah. So Eli HaCohen reached that level that he was shaking and moving and everything, and nothing was working out. Right? So his sons Hofni and Pinchas were instead of him. They were punished because they took advantage. Okay, one commentary on the Tanakh, he says, the Torah says they're called Belial. Belial, Bet, Lamed, Yud, Ain, Lamed is Gematria, Bil'am. And this commentary, I forgot his name, Sefer Yuchasei something, he says that it makes sense to say that Chofli and Pinchas had sparks of Bil'am, Rasha, inside of them. And what's the characteristic of Bil'am, Rasha? Pirkei Avot, what does that Pirkei Avot says? If you have 1, 2, 3, you're from the Talmidim of Avram Avinu. And if you have 1, 2, 3, you're from the students of Bil'am Rasha. And what are the characteristics of Avraham Avinu? Ayin Tova, Nefesh Shefala, Ruach Nemucha. And what's the characteristics of Bilam? Ayin Gavoa, high eye, Nefesh Rechava, that you're not satisfied, that you need a lot, right? Ruach Gavoa, and you're just egotistical and balgaivenik, okay? So he says that from the characteristics of how they were, how Chofni and Pinchas were, and that they're called Belial, it's a hint that they were sparks of Bilam Arasha. And Bilam is connected to who? I have to show this on a paper. Okay, where's my pen? Oh, my pen is here. There's my pen. Okay. There's a type of gematria where you write names like this. Here, I'm going to write Bet. I'm going to show it on the screen also. Bet Lamed Ayin Mem. And then right underneath the 4 letters of Bet, Lamed, Ayin Mem, you put Amalek. Ayin, Mem, Lamed, Kuf. Okay, so you see what I did here? You have here on the top, Bet, Lamed, Ayin, Mem. And then underneath you have Ayin, Mem, Lamed, Kuf. You have 2 new combinations. Bilam again. Bet, Lamed from Bilam. And Ayin, Mem from Amalek. Okay, you see that? Like it's this. This is one section. So again, you have a new Bilam from the Ayin Mem Amalek, and now you have a new Amalek from the Ayin Mem of Bilam, and Lamed Kuf, you have another Amalek, okay? So Rav Nosson brings this from Sfarim to show that Bilam is also connected to Amalek. And what again is Amalek? What do we see in the last 3 psukim? Esav, Amalek, especially in money, especially when wanting things, right? Ish emunot, the pasuk we brought down, Ish emunot, Rav Brachot, a person of faith, a man of faith like Yaakov Avinu, is Rav Brachot, okay? Rav Brachot means he's happy with his portion. And Atz la'ashir lo yinakeh, and the person who's quick to try to gain wealth, lo yinakeh, will be clean. So he's like someone who just wants and why he forgets about Hashem. The store's open, we're making tons of money, keep it open, it's okay. I have to go daven, I'll daven later, I have to go learn, it's okay. Person pushes off his emunah for the sake of money and worldly things. So now by Chofni and Pinchas, why would they do that? Why would they rush to take the piece of the meat while it's still flesh before it's cooked? Why would they take their extra portions of meat before anybody else? Why would they delay for their own comfort zone the korbanot of the woman, and it's considered as if they slept with them? Why would they do that? Only if they weren't happy with what they gave. Hashem tells the Kohanim, Nachon, you're a fat Kohen and you need a lot of meat, but all we're giving you is the chazeh and the shok. We're giving you 2 pieces and that's it. So the Kohen, he can say, I do such hard work and all I get is just this and that. I should get like 20%, not 5%. I should get more. What is this? I'm working for it. The Kohen who believes, no, Hashem says to do this. It says also this chapter 2 of Samuel 1, always throughout mentioning the blemishes of Chofni and Pinchas, and the psukim, like they put it all of a sudden in the middle, but Samuel was not like this, but Shmuel served Hashem nicely. Like in the middle of the story of Chofni and Pinchas, the Torah, the Tanakh, puts it, but Shmuel was good and honest, and he wasn't doing these type of games. He was an honest servant of Hashem, and he wouldn't play games, and he didn't look for the kuntzim, because it says there, it's understood that the Na'arim, the lads of the Kohanim in the temple, they were very swayed and convinced by Chofni and Pinchas. If now the blemish of Chofni and Pinchas would have been just by themselves, it probably wouldn't be that bad. But because the Torah says like 4 or 5 times, the Na'arim and the lads would stick the fork in the meat and take it before, and the lads, and it's not saying explicitly Chofni and Pinchas, but the lads, meaning their students, the young teenagers who learn from their bad deeds. So that shows that it's really bad because it's a continuation. Okay, so the whole chapter, or the bulk of chapter 2, Samuel 1, is talking about this. At the end, Hashem sent the same Elkanah. Watch this. Elkanah received from Eli a Kohen a bracha, and he was very happy by the bracha. And like I said, him and his wife Hannah, they went right home to do the mitzvah, to be together, and they had kids. The same Elkanah, Hashem, he was one of the 48 prophets that the world needed. Hashem told Elkanah, go now and rebuke and tell Eli HaKohen the following. Tell him that he's going to lose the keuna now, because he didn't rebuke his sons properly, and because he has such bad sons, and they are doing totally against Hashem, and Hashem is upset with them. so the keuna will be lost from you and your descendants. And the proof to that will be is that Chofni and Pinchas will be killed on the same day. If they are killed on the same day, then know the following is going to happen. What's going to happen? Elkanah, and this is amazing. Elkanah is a real person. Proof is a normal person. He gets a bracha from Eli, and then Hashem says to the same. Hashem tells Elkanah, go back to Eli, and now tell him the punishment. So Elkanah, which should say, but Hashem, lo naimni, it's not comfortable to me. I just received brachot from Eli HaCohen, and now you want me to go back and to give it to him, to give him the bad prophecy, tell him the punishment. But no, Elkanah was good. He's a proof that there's no Amalek. We went into that. You remember last week? We said that when Amalek is like, come on, Shaul HaMelech didn't listen to Shmuel Navi to kill all of Amalek. He left Agag, he left the cows, because when he had what's called false Rahmanut, false compassion. So here Elkanah, he's showing that he doesn't have false compassion. Hashem told Elkanah, go back to Eli and tell him he's going to be punished now. So Elkanah should say, but wait a minute, he gave me a bracha, and I'm now going to tell him off, I'm going to now give him bad news. He didn't do that. He was emet. This has to be done. I have to overcome my shame in front of people and have more shame in front of Hashem. Hashem is telling me to do something, and I'm not comfortable doing it because I'm worried about what people are going to think. This is very common today. Yeah, there are people, they might not like it. People, Dayanim, especially get punished for doing that. Dayanim, someone is a Dayan and he is scared, for the people's power and everything that they might attack him. The Torah says, don't worry about anybody. Even someone who's what's called the Gvar Alim, someone who's powerful. If now the psak of the Torah is specifically like this, I just know an actual story of a Dayan here in Israel, okay? Where there was a case of a convert, a Ukrainian convert, and the Rav didn't let her get her get, the husband didn't get the get, and she was putting pressure, and she wanted him to put pressure on the husband, but she said, in this situation, there's no need to put pressure until you do such and such and such. So she wasn't happy with what the Dayan said. She took the Dayan to the courts, the actual Jewish Israeli secular courts, and the secular courts ruled against the Rav, the Dayan. And he still didn't back off. They said, if you don't now give in, then we're going to punish you with a fine of like 150,000 shekels to pay. So he said, I can't play with the Torah. He was strong. I couldn't believe, when I heard the story, I couldn't believe it. I'm not going to play games with the Torah. And this is the halacha. I can't give in. So he lost out. The Beit Mishpat fined the Dayan. It's crazy. They fined him like 150,000 shekels because he didn't comply to what she requested. They found her favorable and not the husband. They said, according to the Torah, that's not the case, and I can't follow that. So he gave in. He had to pay from his paycheck every month for like a few years, for like 1,500 shekels until like times 10 years, until whatever, to go 150,000 shekels. But he said he had to do that. And he said that the tests that Dayanim faced in the world. They faced major tests of, pressure and fear of other people, but that's the Torah. So Elkanah didn't give in. Going back to Elkanah, he didn't give in. He went, he told Eli off, and Eli was like over 80 years old at the time. He was like shaking, whatever. And he told him, you're going to lose your sons, and more than this. Originally, after Aaron passed away, Elazar, his son, became the Kohen Gadol. And after Elazar passed away, who became Kohen Gadol? Pinchas, not Itamar. In other words, the lineage for the Kohen Gadol initially, after Aaron passed away before the Jews entered the Holy Land. Elazar entered the Holy Land. He passed away. His son, Pinchas, became Kohen Gadol. The Tanakh teaches that because Pinchas was lack in strategy and in davening and in going forward in one of the battles, so Hashem took away the Keuna Gdola from Pinchas and gave it to the lineage of Itamar. Eli HaKohen, he comes from Itamar. Okay? So Elkanah told Eli the following: Hashem has decided to take away from the Beit Eli, from your house, which is the house of Itamar, the Keuna Gdola, and he has chosen to give it to Tzadok. So the pasuk here, see this pasuk here? This pasuk is 35. The whole pasuk reads like this. I just want to read it inside so you can see it inside the actual pasuk. The pasuk reads, Where are you? Okay. So Elkanah tells Eli in the name of Hashem the following. Vakimoti li kohen ne'eman kasher b'livavi ubenafshi. Okay, Hashem says, I will establish for me, again the word kama, by the way, like we saw by David, kama be'adecha, established. So vakimoti kohen ne'eman, I will establish for me a faithful kohen priest, kasher b'livavi, like is in my heart, Hashem says, ubenafshi, like who is in accordance with my heart and my soul, my desire. Yaseh, he will act according to my heart and my desire. Ubaniti lo bait ne'eman, and I will build for him a faithful house. Bait ne'eman, v'talech lifnei meshichi kol yamim, and he will walk before my anointed one, the king, all of his days. So the pasuk goes on to say, so this is referring to Tzadok. Well, they explain this is Tzadok. This didn't happen in Eli's lifetime because his sons still served. But after Eli, after Hofni and Pinchas, so then David the Melech comes into the picture. And then after David the Melech, his son builds the first temple. Who builds the first Beit HaMikdash? Shlomo HaMelech. At that point, the prophecy takes place. In other words, once the Beit HaMikdash is erected, from now on, no longer will there be Kohen Gadol from Itamar. It'll go back now to Elazar. And who's from Elazar? Tzadok HaKohen. Tzadok HaKohen was the first Kohen Gadol from the first temple. Okay, and he works together with the Beit HaMikdash. So the Elkanah is saying, you've lost your Kehuna Gdola. So this is the pasuk. What Rabbeinu is saying, Ubaniti lo bayit ne'eman. According to this commentary, the Mea Nachal, he says this is a fourth proof, another proof, that what connecting emunah to a Kohen. What is the Kohen? You remember the Kohen? Kohen like Aaron a Kohen. The goal of the Kohen is to give brachot. The idea of a Kohen is to be in giving mode. A Kohen is supposed to give. Birkat Kohanim in the synagogue. A Kohen who has a hatred to someone in the shul, he's not allowed to do Birkat Kohanim. A Kohen Gadol has to be in giving mode in order to serve in the Beit HaMikdash. In order to be an active Kohen, he has to be in giving mode. To be bracha, to be a source, a channel, the hands of the Kohen, Birkat Kohanim, to be a source of bracha, the Kohen has to be in giving mode. Chofni and Pinchas were the exact opposite. They're exact opposites. Okay? It's okay? Okay. So they were the exact opposites, that they were in receiving mode. So that's why they weren't zocher to be the brachot, to have the kehuna, because the pasuk says, "Ubaniti lo bait ne'eman." I will build for this Kohen, which will be Tzadok from the family of Elazar, bait ne'eman. Bait means a house of kehuna, but ne'eman. Here, Rabbeinu connects emunah to the Kohen. Until now, Rabbeinu connected emunah with the bracha, emunah with the hands. Now he connects the idea that even a Kohen has to have emunah. Because Hashem himself says, Hashem is giving like a prophecy what's going to be when Tzadok comes along, Tzadok HaKohen Gadol, and the first Beit HaRishon, and he's going to be, he's chosen because he has the emunah. He has the source of the emunah. The pasuk said, what did it say? Kasher bilvavi uvenafshi yaaseh. Hakimoti li. Hashem says to Eli, I'm going to establish to me a Kohen who ne'eman, who's faithful, and this faithfulness is kasher bilvavi uvenafshi yaaseh. He will do in accordance to what I want. What I want is like the Torah requires, like it's saying in this chapter 2 in Shmuel Aleph, that every time Chofni Pinchas and his Narim did bad, but Shmuel was not like this. Shmuel was good, and he didn't listen, and he wasn't following the twistedness of Chofni and Pinchas. So here again is the idea of emunah as it's connected to Kohen. And by the way, Rabbeinu shows us what is emunah. Emunah is the attitude that you're not just always looking for yourself. Here, Chofni and Pinchas were after eating, extra eating, more food, more meat, because it's free meat. Take more meat, take it fast, not waiting. This here, if you want to say, Rabbeinu is hinting to a person now who has excessive in eating and likes eating, if you want to say, it is a lack of emunah. It's if you have emunah that Hashem is running the world and everything, take it easy. Take it easy. What are you running? No, I have to eat now. My stomach is hungry. I have to eat right now. No, I can't wait. I can't wait. Wait a little. No, I have to eat now. I'm starving. I have money in my pocket. I have the means. I go buy unhealthy food. Wait, have a healthy meal. No, I want to buy a burger and fast fries and the oil and what's it called? The pops. What's it called? No, the schnitzels that are in hot sauce. What are they called again? Come on. The schnitzel and there's poppers. That's what poppers. Have poppers of like all the oil in the world is baked in those poppers, whatever. A person says a person subconscious tell them, wait a little. Emuna. No, I have to eat now. And that was the case of the Kohanim. Chofni Pinchas, they felt they're on top of the world. They're Kohanim, they're the Kohanim, the sons of Eli Cohen, they're on the top. They can decide, they can rule. So they were doing things according to their will. So to a person now, he doesn't have savlanut, which is ish emunot rav brachot, by the way. He's solid in emunah, and the brachot come down, but you have to be solid in emunah, which means a patience. Because who's not patient? Amalek is not patient. Atz le'ashir, someone who's quick to try to make money, to try to gain wealth. Lo yinakeh, he's not clean. So Chofni Pinchas, too quick. This is what the commentary says. There were nitzots of Bilam, and Bilam is connected to Amalek, like we saw right now. So this was again a blemish of Amalek, again appearing in Chofni and Pinchas and the sons of Eli. Okay, the sons of Eli and Eli himself. He was punished because he didn't. I just remember now. The Arizal says that Eli was a Gilgul of Aharon HaKohen. And that's why Aaron HaKohen was supposed to have died, to kill himself on Kiddush Hashem, but instead his sons died, Nadav and Avihu. So he came back and the Gilgul as Eli, and he lived a full life, but at the end he died, in a sense, and that was to make up for that Aaron was not killed. So when he heard the bad news, Eli fell back and he broke the back. The Arizal goes into this, the name of the bone that was broken, and all the details, how it's connected to Aaron HaKohen. The Arizal goes into that. But the point is, again, Rabbeinu is showing you another thing, banitilo. But here again, bait. You noticed? Here, Rabbeinu uses for the first time the idea of bait, because a bait reflects the characteristic of the bracha. The bracha is brakat hasechel, is like a bait. It has to be empty. You have to have room for something to be. It's like a kli. The bait is a kli to put in. What do you put in? The pasuk says amazingly, "Baniti lo," I will build for him, bait ne'eman, as if to say a house for emunah. Bait ne'eman. And that's what we said earlier. The bikat hasechel, you have to put inside of it emunah. Here it's nicely done. A house, housing what? Bait ne'eman. Fine. We'll stop here. Sorry for those who couldn't hear the class in the beginning. It's all recorded. You can hear the recording. And Bezat Hashem, the point is here again, putting emunah in the sechel. And here, this time, Rabbeinu's proof is just amazing with Chofni and Pinchas, Eli Cohen, the idea of emunah in the bait, and that's what gives a person's a solid founding in life and continuity. When there's an emunah in his bait, in his birkat sechel, he puts in the emunah. Bezat Hashem, we'll stop here. Shkoyach, thank you for joining.